Hello, this is Neha Kusum Purohit for Easy Sustainable Fashion, and I am talking about quality over quantity with 1TV, the sustainable ratio for sustainable fashion. So, today I am interested in taking questions from anyone in the audience and um, going to share a few more resources again today for sustainable fashion. But before even that, I could say that my journey is very interesting as far as sustainable fashion is concerned. And I would love to talk about my personal journey for sustainable fashion. So let's get started. First of all, um, my personal relationship with sustainability started when I started my schoolwork in MBA program. So my MBA was sustainable business, but not only I did sustainable business, but I went to a school that was very conscious oriented, and I got to be very self-referral at the campus. Got to experiment with a lot of conscious uh, lifestyle and what works for me and what doesn't work for me, and what has been proven over the ages that are good lifestyle choices. So this is where I started my conscious journey of sustainability. And once I was finishing up my MBA, an opportunity came to start working on a PhD program. And my teachers encouraged me, my professors encouraged me do to choose a topic that was very close to my heart, that I would always enjoy. And I always enjoyed clothes since I was a little girl. I even got an opportunity to make my own clothes when I was younger in 10th grade. And I have always been fascinated by the clothing. So I thought in my innocence that fashion would be a good choice for my PhD program. So what I didn't know was how complicated this industry is, and there are so many different factors that are important to consider when someone is doing a research, especially in a topic which is very interdisciplinary. Fashion is a very interdisciplinary study area, subject, and not only it includes business, but it also includes arts, creativity, design, and a lot of psychology. And so I started my research, but as I was doing my research, and because I was going to a school that was very conscious oriented, I was encouraged to be very self-referral during this process. And the more I learned about the industry and during my literature review process, the more conscious I became of my own clothing habits. And over the years, I have seen a big change in me as far as my own clothing choices are concerned. So my journey has not been easy. I remember the times where I would just go shopping, and I learned shopping from my friends. Honestly, I give them credit for it because they taught me how to shop, be a good bargain hunter. And with that, my wardrobe was basically overflowing with clothes that sometimes I just really bought because they were so cheap. Um, for example, on sale, I was able to get clothes that were $2, $1, $5, sometimes even cheaper than a Subway sandwich, right? So when you are going through the aisles in a store and you find such good deals, you feel like you are really winning in life. You have scored a deal, right? A bargain. And in our society, we really cherish that, scoring a bargain. And we don't think about the externalities of the cost of making something like that. Not only that, we are also not considering the energy behind a product that we're bringing in our space. So through my journey, I realized that my own shopping habits, and if anyone can relate with it, my own shopping habits were very much entrenched in the American, capitalism. Basically just buy if you can buy. Hi, happy Sunday to you. So yeah, today I'm talking about sort of my journey, reflecting on my journey, and I thought that would be a good way to introduce some more deeper topics in sustainable fashion. So I was talking about how when I started my PhD research, I realized that my own wardrobe was full of fast fashion, and there was so many clothes in my closet that I was not even wearing. But there was also clothes in my closet that I cherished a lot and I would never give them up. So that was one of the most key moment in my life, because hey Shannon, thanks for joining. You both are so nice and kind for joining each Sunday. So as I was talking about my own journey for sustainable fashion, I was remembering a time when I was doing my PhD research and learning about all the trauma that Earth is experienced because of the fashion industry, especially pollution and contamination of our water, but also is learning about a lot of psychological issues that are particularly targeted towards women as far as fashion is concerned. So I had to do a lot of soul search and look at my own wardrobe, and I learned that I was also partaking in buying fast fashion. But then instead of being upset about and blaming myself and getting into a space of guilt, I actually had to look into myself and see what is in me that is wanting to manifest through the clothing that I want to buy, or what is the space or emptiness that I want to fulfill by buying the clothes that I am buying, without thinking about my style, thinking about what I really want, what I really feel good in, or just trying to fit in. And so when I thought about that and I looked at my clothes from this new perception, I decided to use the Marie Kondo method, literally to let go of clothes that weren't bringing me joy, and clothes that were not practical for me anymore, or clothes that were just duplicates. I don't know if anyone here has bought clothes that are duplicates. I remember a time I think I bought like 4 sweaters, same style but different colors, because I liked that style so much and I thought I was going to wear them so much. But that was just 4 sweaters. There was a bunch of other things in my closet that were like that. So believe it or not, through research I found that people actually do that. People will go and buy the same thing over and over again, and they won't remember that they have the same thing already. So in effect, what's happening is our wardrobe ends up being you know, having some different things, but at the same time, there could be many things that are like similar. So that actually becomes, if not borderline hoarding. And so I found out that the hoarding is actually now considered a psychological disorder. And the next thing is probably retail therapy or shopping, shopaholic as they say it. So those were the two things that were standing out from my research. But there's a lot of literature out there that is on Americans and their buying habits. And one of the books that really stand out is by Benson, and it's called I Shop, Therefore I Am, which I think is a pun on a very popular saying, I think, therefore I am. And so this is I shop, therefore I am. And the subtitle is Compulsive Buying and the Search for Self. So the search for self as a big part of clothing, because clothing is our second skin, and clothing is also, shows our personalities and from time immemorial, clothing has been part of tribes and cultures where clothing represents something significant, some significant time in a transition time, especially when a child is, coming of age from, getting into puberty, or they are becoming an adult. There's rituals and there's clothes that signify, especially like white is known for purity in so many cultures, and the white is also used in so many traditions for marking certain advancement in a life, in lifetime, moving on to the next phase in life. So what I was saying was that clothing represents so much in our life and traditions, and so the modern version of it is brands. If you're wearing a certain brand, then you're part of a certain social group, and the branding is where then we get into the psychology of branding clothing with the brand logos, and finding some level of fulfillment through being a loyal, to a brand. So I was talking about this book, I Shop, Therefore I Am, and there is a information in here about the role of self-image in excessive buying, and this is a very psychological way of looking at our buying habits. And our buying habits are directly related to the fast fashion industry, because fast fashion industry wants to push out clothes that not all of us want all the time, right? So this is where the psychology comes in, and then there's mood disorders that come in, and it kind of gets really, really murky as you go forward. So one of the titles here is Clothing as Delineator of Boundaries. So clothing delineate boundaries among and within groups, and among and within individuals. They're very effective in this, allowing quick, broad identifications from a great distance and very fine ones from closer in. They let us distinguish among groups while both integrating and differentiating ourselves within them. So for example, army uniforms are an example of that. So this is not a minor matter as far as consciousness is concerned. We place great reliance on such information, and this is why we have to think about how we are buying our clothes. Are we compulsive? So some things that are important to remember is don't be I shop therefore I am, but I think therefore I am. I guess I think the original one is better. Another book that is interesting is American Mania, I'm sorry, my accent, I would say Mania. American Mania, Where More Is Not Enough. Another book that talks about American life specifically. And I'm not going to say that this is only American life, but it's important. It's important to look at, especially our culture here in America, especially as it relates to the American dream. So those are some of the books that I'm sharing today. The American Mania one, More Is Not Enough by Peter C. Wybrow, Dr. Peter. And then also I Shop Therefore I Am by Benson, which really covers beautiful information on the psychology of compulsive buying and the search for self, which is all related to fashion, fast fashion, and thinking about sustainability in the industry, and how we shift that. So buying more clothes is not as fulfilling sometimes as is knowing yourself and knowing what works for you. So when I'm saying buying more clothes, I'm saying in the sense of excess, not in the sense of like, oh, whatever you're buying, just stop. Which I am stopping this year. I didn't buy any clothes for 2 months now, not even secondhand clothes. It's freeing up a lot of my time, which is the most interesting part. Not that there aren't great clothes out there, but the main learning is that it's creating a shift in me, which I have never created before. So those things are important to remember. And that's what I was looking at when I was going through my journey. And when I Marie Kondo my clothing, and I have now created a tiny wardrobe for myself, which is all mostly organic, and ethical, organic, because that's what I want to do for myself. I want to wear clothes that are mostly organic and ethical because it feels good to treat myself in this way. I consider that, based on the research that I have seen, that organic clothing is a bit higher self-care. And I don't like to reveal a lot of information that is controversial, because as a researcher, I have to stay unbiased as much as possible. So I don't like to talk much about why organic is better, or why for you. I have concluded it's something that I want to do. And I don't like to also say, hey, don't wear any plastic clothing, like plastic in the sense any polyester clothing or nylons or things made of microfiber or whatnot. But I am still in that phase where I am experiencing still shifts, and so for now I am wearing mostly organic or silks or natural fibers. And if I have an item that is made of polyester or whatnot, I'm not going to give it away if it is still bringing value in my life. So those are some of the things that I am looking at for now. Let me check what the time is for a second. Let's see. Oh, yes, time's up. So so that was a little bit of my journey, and I just love the opportunity again to say that, to be on this channel and be able to share, because if it wasn't for Lanita and the One TV, I would probably still be in my room and not talking to anyone about this, and it just takes a lot of courage to be out there, and I did it. This is my third time, so thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate every one of you. I'd love to say namaste. Thank you. Bye bye.